I've got tunnel vision.
Right on. So yeah, that's obviously what you guys came on to talk about. So where are we with that, Christine? Because I know there's been a lot of back and forth, and the governor again has been just very firm in her opposition of the rolling back of the BPT. So just a status update, and then we'll just dive right into it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the governor has said since the get-go that she's not in support of any rollback of the BPT. And likewise, the chamber and our partners, Guam Contractors Association, Mary from GHRA was supposed to join us this morning. And most of the business organizations are, have been consistent about rolling it back. We're coming off of a very difficult year for our business community and the employees that have basically lost their jobs because businesses are not healthy, they're not thriving. As we're on this road to recovery, we really need relief. We need to provide our business community an opportunity to get healthy, to bring back our employees, and be on that right path to recovering our economy.
So what conversations have you had with the administration this time around?
Well, we're not actually focusing on the administration at this point. We've been really just working with the senators.
Right.
There's 3 different bills before the legislature. One that just outright rolls back BPT. There's another one that reduces it to 3% and implements a 2% sales tax. And then there's another one that rolls it back by 1% and contemplates an unemployment insurance. And so really our focus right now is with the legislature. We can't even begin to speak with the administration until we get it past the legislature. And so we're hoping that the legislature will schedule some public hearings, allow the community to voice their opinion, their position, their feelings on the rollback, and kind of move on from there.
Well, out of those 3 bills that you mentioned, which one is the chamber supporting the most, or are you supporting all 3?
We're supporting the rollback of the BPT outright. I think when you add on different measures, you kind of convolute the situation. If there's a sales tax that they want to implement, or another insurance, then I think that needs to be separate, and we need to focus on the rollback because that's the most immediate need for our community. As I mentioned, there's people that are still out of work. We've just allowed bars to open. We're starting to see the increases of capacity, which is really helpful. But, coming off of a year of not really having enough income or no income and still having those bills all along that time, I mean, it's really difficult out there. And so we're hoping that the legislature will support, giving us basically this relief, support businesses getting on the right track and basically, improving our economy. We're looking at tourism. Hopefully, I mean, nobody expects that come May 1st, there's going to be an influx of thousands of visitors. But, we have to start somewhere. And certainly as we start to welcome these visitors, we need to have businesses out there so that they can eat at our restaurants, shop in our retail, go on tours, go jet skiing, go paddleboarding, do all the wonderful things that make Guam special. So we're really hoping for that support out of the legislature.
What bill number is that one?
5.
Bill 5, okay.
530.
And 5 is just straight up roll it back. No,
Correct.
no passing it on. This sales tax is kind of cuckoo. I mean, it almost seems like it's pitting you guys against everyone else out here. It's like, yeah, we'll roll back the BPT, but guess what, consumer? You're going to bear the cost of a 2% sales tax. Nuts.
Well, if you look at the history behind how this whole thing started, basically in the previous administration, where Trump had raised or actually reduced taxes for corporate taxes. And so that had an adverse effect on the local government because now we're not getting in as much federal money as we were in the past. Yeah. And so we were told, on the onset of increasing the BPT was that this is going to be a temporary measure until such time that we get back on our feet and, should things get better. Then, of course, the pandemic hit. So now we've got a new administration. We're seeing that they're going to roll back some of the tax breaks that were given to corporations. So that's going to bring back some of that money that potentially was lost in the previous administration. And so that's one of the reasons why I think that we should start to look at this rollback. And then you have the American Rescue Plan that's going to include the EITC payments. And that's going to be additional funding of at least up to $60 million. So, a lot of things have changed over the course of the couple of years. And so I think this is a perfect time now that we consider to roll back, especially coming off of like Christine mentioned, a very hard year where especially small businesses were suffering because, they didn't have enough funding to keep their employees. And now they've got to pay this additional 1% from what they were used to a couple of years ago. So the rollback here is going to make sense because now we're trying to come back and rebuild our economy. And so a lot of these businesses don't take this money and put it in their pocket and say, oh, I'm good with it. They're going to be reinvesting it back into their businesses and eventually back into the community by hiring more people and upgrading and updating their facilities. Right now, a lot of hotels are preparing for the influx of tourists and hopefully new tourists. And so they're reinvesting some of that money to remodeling and refurbishing their properties to prepare for that. So all we're asking the government to do is, give us a break, give us some relief, get back that 1% that, you charged us. And that was, again, we were under the impression that was going to be temporary and then move forward from there.
Yeah, I mean, the argument against the BPT, I mean, and they're saying, so what, each percentage point is tied to like some $60 million in revenue or something? Christine, was that the number that they threw out?
That's about right. And so, as James said, the government, EITC has never been reimbursed. The last I looked, it was hovering around 57 million. I think with this last year and people not being in jobs, you're going to see that EITC credit surge. And so, we expect it to be way over 60 million. The argument had always been that there's not going to be enough money for government services. I think, again, that's not the case, considering that you're going to get, this reimbursement that was never provided to Guam in the past. And as James mentioned, we're looking at October based on all the reports that we're getting where the new Biden administration is going to implement those tax increases that were formerly rolled back. And so, the EITC plus the upcoming tax collections is going to more than compensate for whatever losses are going to be experienced from that 1%. And again, it's an opportunity to provide that relief to the business community who, in some cases have been shut down for almost, I think it's been over a year, who have been operating at reduced capacity and who have had to reduce the hours of their employees or lay them off because there wasn't sufficient income to support them. We need to get back on track. We need to revive our economy and bring our people back to work.
You said that the chamber's been in discussions with the senators, right? So with Bill 53, that's the one by Joe San Augustine and Tina Munoz Barnes relating to the sales tax, and then Bill 22, Senator Torres, Tina Munoz Barnes, and Amanda Shelton. That one's dealing with the unemployment insurance program, and then Bill 5, which you guys had mentioned by some of the Republican senators. So these three bills, if you guys have been talking to the legislature, have you talked about these bills before it was introduced? Did they say, hey, I'm planning on introducing this bill related to sales tax. I'm planning on introducing this bill regarding the unemployment insurance program. Did you guys talk to them about it? Or was this like, oh, I didn't know you guys were going to introduce this?
Well, I think The legislature has not made it a practice to talk to the chamber before they introduce their bills. It always kind of comes after the fact. And so, we have been in discussion with them. I know, even with the one relative to the sales tax, that particular one, I've had a conversation with the governor on, and it's complicated, right? To change our whole tax system and move to a sales tax, and trying to implement sort of both at the same time is not just, okay, now it's law, everybody do it. Businesses have to adjust, and then, consumers have to adjust. It's a complicated process. So it's not anything that can be implemented in the near future. And then there's still a lot of discussion, I think, that has to happen with unemployment insurance, because if you look at that program nationwide and really what the components are, it's a program that requires people to work for a year. You can't just go work for a few months and quit and expect to get this unemployment. It's a very different animal than what we're seeing with PUA. And I think that there needs to be a lot more education and understanding. Essentially, it's another tax on the business. So you still are not providing that relief. You're saying you're rolling back GRT to 1%, but you're implementing another 1%. And, I think right now the business community and the organizations are just asking for an outright relief from this burden that was implemented in light of losing revenue. And that is not the case, in this next year. And so, we need this relief to be able to recover.
Let me just play devil's advocate here, right? So obviously the BPT, and you're right, it was because of the Trump tax cuts. We're not seeing that impact as much, but we are seeing the impact of the pandemic. But then again, we're getting $600 million, right, to replace lost revenue. So if you guys do get this BPT rollback, is that going to be it, or are you going to come back next year and say, oh, we need another 1% off because we're just not getting any relief?
No, I think, the 4% is something that we've operated under. Again, the 1% was supposed to be temporary, and that was not the case. And so, let's get this relief in place. And see how we can revive our economy, how businesses thrive, how many people we can get back to work. I think the latest stats that I saw is our unemployment is upwards of 19%.
Yeah.
Even the U.S. is that high in unemployment. And, we keep saying it, PUA, thank goodness for our people that they have something to use to pay their bills. September is now the new date. Give us this time to recover so that when they're ready to come back to work and when we're able to employ them, we're going to have the capacity to do so. We can't, 19%, that is insane. That's a lot of people out of work.
Where's Jessica?
She had to go talk to her plumber.
Oh, okay. Hi, Jessica. We just wanted to bring you on and maybe give your 2 cents here on this rollback.
Sure. So, we, I'm a member of Guam Chamber, a board member, and also a past board member of GCA and a small business owner. So this is something that's affected all of the businesses on Guam. And although it seems like a small amount, it really adds up. And in this time, everybody's struggling. And that 1% can make a big difference. I know there's been talk about doing it as a sales tax instead of a hidden, but that's something I think that needs to be addressed further down the road. The immediate issue that everybody's facing, small businesses around the island and around the world are just trying to minimize our costs, and to have this added burden of something that was supposed to be a temporary thing, it would be helpful. It would be it seems like only a small amount, but even when we're calculating our GRTs and our BPTs, it basically, we can see the difference, and it's a small amount, but it does help. And we need every little bit of help that we can get just to kind of help everybody make it through the recovery period where we're at right now. And it's going to be a long, arduous road, and it's not easy. And we appreciate every little bit that we can be afforded as small businesses to make it through and come out ahead of all of this after all is settled.
So, if you guys have been talking to senators, what's been their feedback?
We've actually had a lot of empathy and support in our conversations. The senators recognize how difficult this year has been. Obviously, prior to these latest announcements on the increase of taxes at the federal level or the EITC reimbursement, the fundamental concern had been the ability to support government services and make sure that government workers weren't impacted. And so, I think that for us, knowing that, okay, that's been addressed, there's no threat to government services or its employees. Now's the time for the government to support the private sector and to support its employees. And as Jessica mentioned, especially for our small businesses out there, it's been a tremendous struggle. Catherine and I just this last week, Friday, were at the chamber office with a small business owner that was in tears because they're going to have to shut down their business. And I mean, you spend you invest your money, savings, you put sometimes your house, your cars as collateral to pursue this dream of owning a business. And then, a lot, especially with small business owners, you're making $100,000 a year with the cost of goods and everything. You can't even hire staff. You're the janitor, you're the, cashier, you do pretty much everything. And to invest all that effort and money and have to close is really hard. And so my heart goes out to those. I mean, I had to close my business. It's very difficult. I had employees, and to turn around and let them know, I'm sorry, I can't, keep your job. I mean, I need to shut down, and, you kind of try your best to keep whatever benefits or give them whatever you can. But, it's hard. Some of those employees that we had to tell, that we couldn't employ them any longer had been with me since the beginning, and then what? There's nothing. So we really, really, really need help. And we're hoping that the senators will provide that support and that we could, be on that road to recovery.
But what I don't know.
Yeah,
Why do
it
you
seems
think
like
the senators are really going to help you when nothing was done in the last legislature? I mean, what's different?
they're also scared of the governor.
Yeah.
I think, we've seen, we were able to successfully pass the delay in the implementation of zero plastic bags, just to give everyone time to adjust to that. We were able to work with them to get a 6-month delay in the minimum wage increase. I think this legislature, this group, is open to discussions, open to compromises, because I think more than ever, they're seeing the impact to the business community. I mean, we continue to see businesses closing. Again, 19% unemployment. I mean, these are alarming numbers that, were not the reality a year ago. So I feel like this legislature is more open to the discussion than the prior one. So we're optimistic.
So is Bill 53 and Bill 22 a compromise?
22 is the unemployment.
That is
and
that's the unemployment. That's the one by Mary Torres and Talina, the vice speaker, and Amanda Shelton. And Bill 53 is the sales tax.
No, I think with those introductions, they're trying to propose different, sort of kill two birds with one stone, if you will. And that's why we're going back to them saying, let's keep these as separate pieces of business, because the discussion on unemployment and the discussion on a sales tax should not be convoluted with the support that intend to provide to the business community or its employees, right? We need to keep them as separate conversations and debate each one separately, because even as Chris mentioned, the sales tax is a tax on the overall consumer, the business community should not be held hostage because of that discussion as a separate discussion, or the discussion on unemployment. The community and workers need to understand those components and be wanting to support it, as a separate piece of business from the relief that's needed right now for businesses. Our discussion with them is to support Bill 5. And let's just do the rollback and then have these conversations later on as we are.
So it's a strive for Bill 5 and a hard no for Bill 53 and Bill 22.
A hard no or a hard whoa?
Or delay and reintroduce it separately.
Okay. Wow. Good luck.
Yeah. You hear that? How she sounds? Yeah, it's not as optimistic as you guys. Because this is not just going to take this bill hitting the floor, debated, passed duly by the body. The governor is going to veto it, right? And then Senate's going to go back down. So that means that they're going to have to override it and get on the governor's bad side when we're getting the $600 million. And right now, nobody wants to get on the governor's bad side because she's going to have $600 million reasons that we got to be nice to her.
What about the Women's Chamber? Are you guys kind of talking with them? I noticed you said you had GHRA, but what about the Women's Chamber of Commerce?
We did meet with them, or one of their representatives it was just Friday, I think. So a lot of the times what happens with any bill or any position, you have to go back to your board and you have to go back to sort of your directors and kind of get their feel for it. Initial conversations that we had with them, as you know, they did join the PAC and that was one of the key things that we were pushing through. And so we're working with them to reaffirm that the rollback, and we're optimistic as well that they'll join us. So, we hope so, because all businesses are feeling the effect. All businesses are struggling in one way or another. And so, I can't imagine that, their businesses were exempt from that impact. I know they have a lot of small businesses as well. And so we're also working with the Korean and Chinese Chamber. Am I missing anyone, James, Jessica? Is that the...
Yeah, I think you all of them already.
Yes.
Sounds like everybody.
Yeah. Are you guys gonna do like a rally? I remember didn't you guys do a rally last year? You guys went to...
Yeah, we did a motorcade, right, and so forth. We haven't really discussed those efforts. Where a lot of it right now is just starting the conversation, trying to work to get the public hearing, and then kind of going from there.
I know you said you're talking with the senators, but has there been any idea to maybe one last time with your hat in your hand go to Adeloop and say, hey, is there any way we can work this out?
Certainly. I think, as I mentioned, one of the things I've been consistent about with the governor is the rollback, and she's been consistent with no. So in the next year, I'm hoping with all the positive things that we can look forward to in this next year. I think certainly the biggest stressor has been the pandemic and the safety of our people. And, with the vaccine program that's well underway, folks are doing a good job. I think we're in a different place as far as that discussion. Last year, with the public health emergency, people dying and, just the fear of the spread and things getting worse, having that conversation at the same time. There, we were just in a different place. So I'm optimistic that the conversation is different this year, and that perhaps there's opportunities to compromise and work together on something that's for the benefit of the entire community. And the private sector is an integral part of our entire community. So we're hoping for that balance.
Well, good luck.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jessica.
You're welcome. Have a good day.
Thank you,
Have a good
James.
day. Thanks, James.
Thank
See
you.
you,
Thank you for
Christine.
having
See you guys.
Adios.
Hasta.
Bye.
Right on. Tough one there, man.
I know.
Tough one.
I feel like we've,
You got to give them props though, because it's like Gov's a hard no, but they're still like, And the governor's calling her senators like, I better not see your name anywhere near this BPT rollback, or you cut.